Joined by Hakeem Jeffries. Thanks so much for joining me.
Good to be with you.
So we obviously had a major victory in Virginia. This is something that you had worked on for a long time, and I want to get into your participation in all of this. But before I do, the map right now as it stands looks to be mostly set except for the state of Florida. And so in light of the results that we've seen in California, in light of the court decision that we saw adding a seat in Utah, in light now of the referendum results in Virginia, what would your message be to Ron DeSantis as they consider engaging in a gerrymander on top of the existing gerrymander?
That's exactly right. The map in Florida that already exists was gerrymandered in 2022. And so to the extent they try to take some additional seats in a map that was already gerrymandered, what Ron DeSantis will accomplish is placing additional Republican incumbents in jeopardy. And that's the reason why, Brian, so many Florida Republicans quietly have gone to the White House and have gone to the governor telling him not to go down this road. It was a disaster for them in Texas, where they claim they're going to take 5 seats away from us. They'll be fortunate in Texas if they get to 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And they're going to lose at least one Republican incumbent as a result of the Texas dummy-mander. And now Ron DeSantis is considering making the same mistake in Florida.
Can you talk a little bit more about what you've heard from these other Florida Republicans? Because that's been floating around the zeitgeist a little bit, but obviously we don't have as good insight as I'm sure you do in terms of what these people are saying to the governor.
Well, particularly in light of the continued electoral success that Democrats have had. We've now won elections for 16 consecutive months, starting with an Iowa State Senate race in January of 2025, running all the way through what just happened in Wisconsin, where we won a state Supreme Court race by 20 points in a state that Donald Trump had just won in November of 2024. And of course, we've won special elections in Texas in January of this year, where we overperformed by 31 points.
Yeah.
And then we won a special election in Louisiana in a House race.
Both of these not exactly liberal bastions, right?
No doubt about it. Conservative, suburban Texas, and then rural Louisiana.
Yeah.
The home state of Mike Johnson and Steve Scalise, where Donald Trump had won that district in 2024, I believe, by 13 points. The Democratic candidate won it by 24. That was a 37-point overperformance. That happened in February. And then in Florida, of course, we flipped the district in Palm Beach that is represented by Donald Trump lives in terms of Mar-a-Lago,
Yeah.
that is now represented by a Democrat. We also, of course, flipped the Miami mayorship for the first time in 30 years by 20 points. That was in December. And so as all of these wins stack up, Florida Republicans and Republicans across the country are getting nervous because they know that Donald Trump has been a failure. Republicans in Congress have been a failure. They have nothing positive to run on. They've now gotten us into this reckless and costly war of choice. And the last thing they need is to lose Republicans in their districts, which will happen if they try to gerrymander the map.
Well, in response to basically your warning to Ron DeSantis in light of the Virginia results, DeSantis had come out today and basically offered up some ad hominem attacks against you. Do you think that this is him in an actual confident state, or is this just him posturing because he knows he's in a shitty position right now?
Yeah, I think it's him posturing. And look, Ron DeSantis is a failed public servant, a failed governor, and a failed candidate for president. He's reeling right now. He's underwater in his own state. He's got no credibility. He's struggling. His presidential ambitions are done, finished, right? And he knows this at this point. He was groveling to try to become a cabinet secretary. Donald Trump shut him down.
Yeah.
So his whole world is falling apart. And now he's got a civil war going on in his own state with Republicans warning him that it will be a disaster to go down this road. Because as Democrats, they know we're serious. When we say we're going to go into a state and we're going to compete heavily and aggressively, we're going to do it.
And by the way, that's a change from what we had seen before. And I think this redistricting fight is a good microcosm for exactly that. Because I think for a long time, this is something I've been exceedingly critical of, is the idea that if Democrats are going to fight back, it's going to be in the form of a strongly worded letter, right? And now we're seeing instances where Democrats are saying, okay, you know what? If you're going to gerrymander these maps to engineer yourselves permanent majorities in the House, if Trump feels like he's entitled to 5 seats, that it's not going to be unilateral disarmament from the Democrats. They're actually going to fight back. And we saw that in California. We saw that now in Virginia. And of course, there's other offensive opportunities on the table. That includes New Jersey, New York, Colorado. You know, we'll see what happens as we get into the next midterm cycle or the next general election cycle. But I want to talk about your participation in this because I don't know that a lot of people know how involved in all of this you were. And in fact, even I wasn't until we had spoken a few months ago. And you are deep in the weeds of making this happen. And to your credit, you're both doing this and not out there taking all of the credit that you should.